Hello friends, good to see you. I'm happy you're back. I hope you are ready to dye some more yarn this week. This week I'm going to be dyeing on a skein of, this is a finger weight skein of superwash merino, 85% superwash merino and 15% biodegradable nylon. So that's what we're dyeing on this week. And the color I'm going for is something that's also big on the runways this year, and I'm sure we will see a lot of this summer. And it is a gentle tea rose colorway, kind of a wispy pink. So that is what we are going to attempt to make this week. I hope you're excited. I'm excited. But first, let's get started by soaking the yarn.
You got me feeling good, right by your side, lost in every move, riding down your spine.
First up, we are going to add a zip tie to the skein. So we're opening up the skein like so, and we're just adding a zip tie. I'm using reusable ones. You can find those on Amazon, like so. This just helps us grab the skein while it's soaking and dyeing, and also when we're rinsing it afterwards. Next, we are adding some citric acid to the dye bath. I'll do like about half a tablespoon. And I'm doing this both for soaking water, and I'm also adding some citric acid into the dye pan. You don't have to do both. It is absolutely fine to just do one of them, but I'm just making sure. Next, I'm adding 2 liters of cold water. I don't need any more than that because I only have one skein. There you go. And then we're going to add the yarn to the water. Like so. And I just push it down to make sure everything gets soaked. We don't want any part of the yarn to be dry, because dry yarn will not pick up any dye. There we go. And now I'm going to let that sit for about half an hour at least, and then we're ready to dye. We're getting ready to dye, and as usual I have a tray of my essentials here. The face mask, of course. Always use a face mask because this is a very, very fine powder and you do not want to breathe that in. I've got some gloves as well. I have got my little whisker to dissolve the dye in the water. And I got an old empty yogurt container with some water in and a spoon that I'm going to be teasing the yarn with when making sure that the dye hits all of the yarn, and a teaspoon just to grab the yarn. Okay, so first off, put on your mask. And next I'm going to be using Jacquard acid dyes in the color pink. And since I'm doing a colorway that is very, very, very light pink, this is what it looks like in the container. I'm going to grab just ever so slight, oh, can you see, there we go. Just a teeny amount of, I may actually do even less than that. Maybe like so. And I'll add it to the water. There we go. And let's blend it out. As you can see, it's instantly light pink. I got about 2 cups of water in here. So I'm just going to make sure all the dye powder dissolves properly. There we go. And now I will be adding cold water. This holds about 2 liters, which is, what is that, 60 ounces, something like that. I'm just going to fill it up. And there we go. The very lightest of pink colors. So let's move over to the stove and the dyeing pan and get started. And we are ready to dye. First I'm going to do is add just a little bit of citric acid. I only got 1 skein to dye today, so I'm using half a tablespoon. And again, you don't have to double up like I do, having some in the soaking water and some in the pan. It's absolutely fine to do it just in the pan. And we are grabbing our skein. I'm just going to squeeze out the water. My stove is of course completely cold at this moment. There we go. Let me set that aside. All right. I'm just going to spread out the skein a little. And we're adding in the dye. 2 liters should be more than enough for just 1 skein in this small pan. There we go. Doesn't look like there is much color in there right now. Turn it on. But as soon as the heat hits, it's probably going to be a lot more visible. And if we want more color, we can absolutely add some more as we go. So I'm just teasing it a little. Oops, making a mess. Making sure I get dye in every nook and cranny of this yarn. There we are. And now I just need to wait for it to heat up. And yeah, I'll check back with you when the water is starting to get warm. The water is starting to heat up a little. And we got a really light pink here. This is more of a wispy pink than a light pink tea rose. But I like it. And as you can see, I'm using my fingers to make sure the water is hot all over. I do not recommend you do this. If you do anyway, be careful. This is just my preferred way to check that the water is warm everywhere. And it is not supposed to boil, it just needs to be properly heated. It's the combination of the dye, the heat, and the citric acid that will set the color in the yarn. So we're going to let it sit for a little more before setting it aside to cool. We got some steam coming off here. I don't know if you can see it on camera. Maybe you can see it here at the back of the pan. But the water is now properly hot, and all we need to do now is to set the pan aside to cool before rinsing it. And it's very important that we let it cool completely before rinsing it, because we don't want to shock the yarn. So I'm going to turn off the stove and set it aside to cool, and I'll get back to you when it's time to rinse the yarn. It's time to rinse the yarn. This is the palest, wispiest pink there ever was. I'm not sure you can even see it on camera. I'm going to rinse it and dry it, and we'll see if I'm happy. I'm sort of on the fence here. I might want to have it a little more pink. If so, I can just redo the process. But first we are going to rinse it, and I'll be using my soak as usual. And I'll just splash a little bit in there. Don't need too much. And we're adding cold water. This is very important. This has been cooling off and is now completely cold. So while the water is filling up, I'm going to grab the zip tie and pull up the skein. I'm just squeezing out the water ever so gently, mostly to not make a mess. There we go. A little more water. In the dyeing rinsing tub. That should be more than enough. I'm going to add the yarn. And let me move you in closer so you can see what I'm doing. There we are. I'm also going to grab a tub to put the yarn in once it's rinsed. I'm just going to use my soaking tub for that. I'm just dabbing it down and dunking it. I think this is actually a really lovely shade. And I'm squeezing the water out. Well, since I'm using soak, I don't really need to rinse more than once, but I'm going to do it, as is my habit. So, just getting rid of all the foam. Adding in some more water. And I'll be rinsing it once more and we'll be hanging it out to dry. There we go. Just a quick second rinse. And then I'm squeezing out the water. Don't wring the yarn. You might break it or harm it. We don't want to do that. So just squeezing out the water. If you have a salad spinner you can dedicate for yarn dyeing, you can use that. I'm going to just use my hands today. There we go. And now we're going to hang it outside to dry for a bit.
You got me feeling good, right about your side. Lost in every move, riding down your smile. Baby, hold me tight, let me trace your lies.
It is time to have a look at the finished result, and I gotta say I am quite pleased with it. It is this wispy pink. How do you like that? It's very lightly pink. Let me take off my glasses so you don't get all the glare. It's a very light pink. I wasn't sure if I was going to be happy with it, but I am. I mean, look at that. Isn't that, I'm thinking maybe some lace work for a summer top. I might do that. But again, if you try to dye this color and find that it is too light pink for you, you just redo it and add some more and you make it darker. I am very happy with how this came out though, so I'm going to keep it for sure and add it into a summer top. Maybe a summer version of the swag sweater. Oh my god, I can't speak. You remember that one? I made a couple of versions of it and I think this would be amazing for the lace work in the top. So maybe a short sleeved version for summer. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Oh my god, I am totally ready to wrap up this video. Apparently I can't speak today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe if you want to follow along. I am posting a video, yarn dyeing video every week for the rest of the year. Or as long as I have ideas, at least. So I'm just gonna keep going. I hope you find something you like and that inspires you. So subscribe if you want to follow along, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
You got me feeling good, right about your side. Lost in every move, riding down your smile. Baby, hold me tight, let me trace your lies. Keep it low, cause you're dropping it down.